Hello and welcome to Achievement Hunting 101, the podcast that picks you up and never lets you down. Also known, I'm pretty sure we've done that one before.
Well, eat like a meal? Is the podcast Eats Like a Meal?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
After 190 of these things, we're bound to repeat some. Joining me tonight is KooshMoose.
Hello.
Big L.
We never repeat anything.
Yeah. And Matrarch.
I never left. Wait, I think we used that one before too.
I'm pretty sure we have. It's too hard to keep all those going. It's just, there's too many episodes now.
It's a good problem to have. I mean, in your wildest dreams, when you hit record on episode 0, did you think 190 episodes later you'd still be sitting here doing this? This is great.
Oh, God, no.
And you haven't gotten
Absolutely
rid of me
not.
yet.
You're the next one we're working on. I mean...
Right. I mean...
Right click.
Hey.
You guys offed Mango super early, so it's just the slow burn at this point.
Offed Mango. It sounds like we murdered him.
Yeah. Have you heard from him lately?
No, we definitely did not do that.
No, right.
All right. Well, let's jump right in. Let's get to a topic of discussion for this week. The question for this week is, we want to know about your goals. Do you have an end goal in mind? Something you'd hit and make you hang up the controller? And if not, what are your long-term achievement hunting goals? Let's start with Michelle, since you're first up in line on this.
All right, sounds good. So let me go ahead and highlight some of these responses. And of course, right off the top, say thank you to our patrons who took the time to respond, because we got lots of good answers here. So I'm sure we're all very ready to dig in here. First off, I'm going to read Fug's response. Fug says, I really have no goals in mind besides trying to improve my completion percentage over time. Everything else is just day to day, do community things, have fun. In that way, I don't burn out and just enjoy myself. Too many people have burned themselves out pushing for some silly number, and then they no longer enjoy their hobby. Jay Black says, I don't have an end goal when it comes to gaming. The only thing that would stop me from fully gaming is if I can't find anything interesting or fun. I could see me playing games when I'm 80 years old, yelling at Luigi to get off my lawn. And finally, Beast, who adds, I don't like to put too much focus into endgame goals, because at the end of the day, this is a hobby, and I don't want to turn this into a second job. Now, that being said, if I were forced to pick something, I'd like to end up on the front page of a few leaderboards. So the reason why I went with these 3 is because I agree. Before achievements, video gaming was, and still is, a hobby. And I'm in the same boat. I want to raise my completion percentage, mostly because I want that to be a reflection of doing a better job of focusing on things I started. I'm not as interested in just dabbling a little bit of this or that. I'd rather commit to something and try to get as much done as possible. But I don't really have an end goal in mind either, because I don't see myself not gaming. It's something I've done since I was 3, and I don't think that's going to stop. And a goal sounds so finite. Like if you hit that, you're supposed to jump off. So I'm in agreement with Fug and Jables and Beast. I think the best way to go is to have a couple little things that help guide you a little bit, but just enjoy. Have a great time doing what we do.
I completely agree. Video games are supposed to be for fun. Like if you want to play towards some contest for getting achievements or being like best in the world in some leaderboard, or what have you, it doesn't really much matter. But this is absolutely just my hobby, your guys' hobby, everyone that's listening hobby. We're doing this for fun. So whatever it is that helps you have fun with this, that's what really matters.
I agree.
2 patrons I'm going to read off. First one's Chewie. He says, my short-term goal is 1 million gamer score, but I don't really feel like that would be an end goal. Even if I thought I might slow down, realistically, there's always something else to keep me interested. I'll just keep going until I can't go any longer. Sleep when you're dead. I agree with that one, too. And then from Ahizo, to everyone's surprise, just climbing card and board leaderboards as high as I can go. If I ever see a shot at taking the top spot, I'll even go so far as to play things no sane person could complete, like Prominence Poker. Good luck. For as much as I can get. Until then, mostly just focusing on upping my completion percentage, a bit of dives over the year, and I'd like to recover them. Yeah. Good luck with that card and board leaderboard. Especially if you're trying to complete Prominence Poker. That is one heck of a grind. Nate, what you got?
Yeah, we'll start with Northern Lass. She says, my short-term goals are to recover my bean dive from last July before this July's bean dive, and also hit 1 million gamer score. Echo says, my goal is all gold TA badges. That's a unique one. Not too many people have replied with that one. As a lifelong goal, I want to get to a point where I can keep up with the latest releases instead of drowning in the ever-growing backlog. I don't think that will ever happen. But
No, I wish.
it's a good goal. And Philip Wendell says, the numbers that I enjoy seeing rise the most are total completions, completion percentage, gamer score, and my position in Georgia gamers based on gamer score. BCM has really inspired me to play some harder games. Good job. Where do I see myself in 5 years? I would say over 1 million gamer score for sure, but I really don't have gamer goals that pertain to numbers really at this point. Basically, it's just keep playing and keep playing fun things and stuff to talk about. That's really all I want to do is just keep playing until it's not fun any longer, which hopefully is never. So keep on going.
So I have a question, because there are some people who shoot for that all gold top row on TA, and those are obviously folks who like having those stats. So I think you need over 1 million TA score, you need to be in the top 1,000 of the TA leaderboards for gamer score, so it's obviously a moving target. Over 90% completion, over a 2.0 ratio, I believe, and over 500 completed games, which is a lot. Like it is hard to hit those numbers and those numbers and those numbers. I'm just curious, as we're sitting here talking, what do you guys think would be the hardest to make a gold badge? I just speaking for myself, ratio of 2.0 sounds just so difficult because I do like playing the occasional 1.0, which is always going to drag it down. What do you guys think?
I'm at a 172. I didn't think I was. Okay, that's cool.
That Game Pass inflation.
I guess, yeah. For me, I mean, I've got 112 friends. I have enough friends, but if you request to be my friend, I'm gonna say yeah, but I'm not gonna go searching for whatever makes a gold badge. And reviews. How many reviews do you have to do?
Well, that's all the second row, right? I don't think. I mean, you can.
We don't care about the second row.
I mean, unless usually. Well, let me not misspeak, but typically, if people say all gold badges on TA, they're really talking about that top row, which is reflective of TA score, gamer score, completion percentage, completed games, and ratio.
Okay.
Kind of.
You know what? I did just think I do have one number I am proud of and want to keep, at least for the near future. And that is the community challenges. Like, I'm in the gold club. So I do want to keep doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, if you haven't. Yeah, because you can't go back in time, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's impossible for me to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you wanted to get the gold in the ratio, that's doable. Because you could kind of help tailor your games of what exactly it is that you want to do. To me, I feel like the completion percentage is the toughest, especially if you have been on Xbox Live for a long time. You have a lot of games on your tag that either have a bunch of unobtainables now, like the EA games where it's literally impossible to complete them.
Right.
Servers are never coming back online, or you've started large or long games like a Dragon Age or a Halo Master Chief Collection where it just has so many achievements to it.
Mm-hmm. And to be clear, Koosh, you're correct. Echo did specifically say all gold TA badges, which could mean everything. And that's tough because TA playlists are a badge, so you'd have to participate in a certain number of them, and they're only going to be once a month. So that sounds difficult, but definitely shout out that progress in Brag Camp as you get those gold badges done.
I mean, it's just such a achievement hunter thing to go in there and say, how many times do I need to vote to get that gold badge? Like, not what's worth voting on. It's no. Where can I just throw votes out? Just like the Netflix app. Like, how do I get that achievement on the Netflix app? Well, I just pretend like I've seen a bunch of movies.
Right. Leave it running all night.
What I like.
Or the one for writing solutions, too, because you have to write a solid number of them. And do you spam solutions like the way we would spam and shortcut other things? But then
Sounds like it.
Well, I think there's also a vote ratio, though. So if you write all bad solutions, you're going to have a bad ratio badge. So that, but I'm not, I don't know. You have to write a bunch of walkthroughs and stuff, too. There's all sorts of badges, like the different staff members on TA have different badges and stuff, if you're really going to get in the weeds.
I'll be completely honest. I didn't even know, like, what you would call the second row of badges was even a thing.
That's
like, I thought it was just like a stat. Like, I didn't realize that, hey, the more of the likes you do, the more, you change your badge or whatever.
The yellower that thing gets.
Yeah, that first row is again sort of core categories, and the second row is more community participation categories.
Yeah, it's like I don't use TA as the social media whatsoever. So for me, like, that's never going to happen. Like, I'm very much surprised. Where was it? That I have 64. I have 64 comments.
I mean, most people don't use TA that way. That's just how it's been for a long time. I mean, it doesn't look like you used to be able to click on the comments badge to see a leaderboard of how many comments people have made. And I haven't written for TA in many years now, and most of my comments come from having posted news articles there years ago. But for a long time, even after I was done, I was still in the top 10 of forum posters on TA. So it doesn't generate that much, but you could spam it and get to gold, I guess, fairly easy, because it doesn't matter the content. But not to take away from KT Echo's goals, I was just curious what you guys were thinking when you heard that. Mm-hmm.
Participate in 17 community events. Huh. Now I'm looking at mine. I'm like, I had no idea even these things were even a thing. I really, truly just don't use TA for that whatsoever.
It's going to trigger the achievement hunter in you. Suddenly you're going to be like, you know what? I can get to 20 community events. I'm in. Bring it on.
All right. How about you?
Tony Coconut says, enjoy my hobby over all else. I try to get my completion percentage higher and complete more games, but not at the cost of disliking it. I guess it helps that I don't dislike much video gaming. I've been gaming since the late 80s, so I don't see it stopping. And Retro Chief, who's probably been gaming since the late 40s, says, my goal was originally to get to 1 million and decide from there. I pretty much now just made it a point to climb the point-and-click leaderboard and play what I want to play and don't chase the score. I still score 15 to 20K a month, so the million will happen. I've been starting focusing on playing contests where they tend to influence what from my backlog I'll be playing. It lets me work through my backlog and play games with the community more. Now back to playing Sunset Overdrive for a random to-do list. Good man. Yeah, so
the game is so good.
The way this question was worded, I think the spirit of the question was achievement related. Like hang up your controller, meaning not stop playing entirely, but more stop catering to the achievements. Mm-hmm. I think that's what people took that as. I think that's what I took it as. Like, I don't think anyone's just going to be like, okay, I got a million gamer score, never going to play video games again.
Yeah, that's how I understood it.
So I think, yes, 1 million used to be like a far away goal, but now it's not. Almost at 900,000. There's easy crap galore. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to hit 1 million. And I think I'm still going to probably do the same stuff I always do. Play an easy game here and there and have my multiplayer projects going during the week and maybe play a longer single player game sometimes, but probably not. I can't see things changing too much. But yes, it will be nice to hit the 1 million. With all that said about it being easier now, there's still not that many people who have it as far as I know on TA. So that would be a short-term goal. Maybe I could do it like X the Hero style and just hit the 1 million and then play what I want to play. But we'll see. We'll see.
Nah.
Shh. You can dream.
That's true.
But it was a good question. I think that raising completion percentage and making leaderboard progress, they're all fun stuff that we try to do. And it's very hard to focus on all of them at once. So I think I'm just going to retire from random to-do list and play 90-hour RPGs. Is that what you want me to say, Kenny?
A bigger lie has never been told.
I don't expect you to ever do that. Just like I don't ever expect you to break your achievement streak.
I miss those days though. Those were my favorite games growing up. Were the SNES RPGs. I gotta say, so I kind of miss them in some capacity, but those could still be played.
And that's a whole other discussion, like how your tastes change as you continue to game and experience other things, and what your available time is, or what you view your available time as being. So that's a whole other line we can go down at some point with regard to that sort of thing.
We'll probably go down it during the game showcase.
I also just wanted to, I just took a quick look on TA. And it looks like currently, insofar as registered True Achievements users, there are 617 people over the 1 million mark.
I was just about to say that.
Oh,
yeah.
I apologize, Kenny.
So I need to...
No, you're good.
So I'm shooting for that top 1,000, I guess? Sure. We'll go there.
Yeah, it's still a pretty exclusive group when you really think about Gamerscore globally.
Yeah, I mean, there's if you have over 1 million Gamerscore, the chance of you not being on TA is probably slim to none.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? I mean, let's add 10 people in the world who have a million Gamerscore and aren't on TA.
Right.
You're still in a very upper percentage. And I took a look also just for curiosity's sake. There's still another 200 people that have over 900,000. So,
how many people?
There's 600 people that are over 1 million, you still have another 200 that are just, knocking on that door and are real close.
That's it? Wow.
Yeah, that's it. So there's probably some number, much lower, right? Somewhere around 100,000, probably below, almost definitely below, where really everybody's clumped up, and you don't get too many people that are in this middle. There's that big, just like when you look at completion, achievement distribution charts on games that are relatively tough to complete because they have that one tough completion, how like 20% of all users have that completion, but then there's that one missing. It's sort of the same. You're going to see smaller groups at like 900,000 because those people intend to get to 1 million. They're going to keep pushing through.
Yeah, I remember there being a thing came out from Microsoft a couple of years ago, talking about like the average gamer score throughout the entire community. Obviously, not just TA, just everyone that has a Microsoft account. And if I recall correctly, the average gamer score was like 30,000, which is absolutely nothing. Like, you can get that in a couple of hours if you really wanted to.
That actually sounds high for the average gamer score, because there are so many people who create an account and play one game, and they just play the yearly Call of Duty or whatever. Yeah.
I think for the most part at this point, it's just, so many people have had their tags for so long that if you get, 300 gamer score out of the game or so, after a while, you just get to that 30,000 kind of easy. Some games obviously give you more, some games give you less.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have people like Redemption bring up the average for everybody. All right. That was a good question.
And real quick, I don't know if it's shouted out or not, but thank you to Devin, who's been posting these for the patrons and making sure that the discussion starts and patrons have the weekend to kind of ruminate on the topic and give us answers. So that's been awesome. So thank you for making sure those questions get asked. And thank you again to the patrons for jumping in and giving us all these great answers so that we can have these discussion segments at the beginning of every show.
Yep. Thank you, Devin. And also, if you want to chime into this, you can become a patron.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about this in the patron VIP chat in the Discord.
I think our patrons actually suggested next week's question, or at least a question that's upcoming too. So it doesn't just come from us or from Devin, or whatever, just out of a hat. We can get them from patrons too. So
patrons are encouraged to ask the question of the week. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're a patron, you got
even the Canadian
a question
ones?
or some sort of a topic that you would like us to discuss, by all means, let us know. We'll throw it in the queue.
Yeah. I saw a question by a Canadian patron for next week, but it was about like poutine and moose, and I don't know if it's relevant.
Hey, I like one of those things.
Are those antlers growing out of your head?
All right, let's continue on into the game showcase. Nate, you got up first.
Yeah, I played a little game that I'm pretty sure we've never talked about before. It's Outriders.
Never heard of it.
Wait a minute.
I listen to every episode of every show, and it has never been discussed about as a single-player game. We have talked about it before.
Because it's not.
I've talked about it as a multiplayer game, a partied game, one where one carries other people through the game.
No.
But I played it as a single-player experience, and I'll tell you why. And I'm not bitter. I have a group, a 4-person group, and we play a game on Wednesday nights. And those guys decided that I was big-timing them, as they call it. Big-timing, meaning I was recording a podcast on Tuesday, so it was a perfect time for them to kick me out of the 4-man and run a 3-man on a Tuesday night.
Oh, no.
So
that really needs a sad music
bitter.
bed underneath it. I'm so hurt. My heart.
So for this and any other game that for some crazy reason goes from the standard formula of 4-player down to 3-player, those games will be played on Tuesday nights by my group, I'm guessing.
Now, did you want
I was
to?
an odd man.
Did you want to name those people, or just like?
Of course not.
They're not worth mentioning.
I'm way too big time for them.
You're not okay. They're not
names.
worth mentioning. I understand. Okay, go ahead. I understand.
We'll just call them 1, 2, and 3 for now.
Yeah, we'll call them Little Time 1, Little Time 2,
And Patriots suck.
Little Time 3.
Oh,
Yes. So back to talking about me and Outriders, the game that I played.
oh boy!
I really enjoyed this game. It's really fun. And it kind of got me into wanting to play this game with other people, which is odd, right? But I have been enjoying my single player experience. I initially picked it up, of course, as I do when things hit Game Pass. I tend to just dip my toe in the first week or so, and I thought that, hey, this is kind of fun. I really like third-person shooters. I think I probably like third-person shooters better than I like first-person shooters. I just like that over-the-shoulder, especially when you can switch which shoulder you're looking over. That's great. I just like them better than first-person shooters.
You can do that.
So I just really enjoyed this. I had started off as a pyromancer, and that was okay. And I was told by some people and by the internet that the technomancer is actually the big-time damage dealer. So I switched to that when I decided to pick this game back up. Because Freem, who is in no way a little timer, tiny timer, that stood me up.
Fantastic timer.
In no way. He has been keeping track of Game Pass games and when things are going to go off, and he has been saying that Outriders is probably going to be off Game Pass very soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I took
Makes
that
sense.
a couple weeks ago or a month ago or whatever as, okay, I see that, some people are playing it and I should probably jump on it as well. So I started, and I've just been cruising through it. When I have time, this has been my main game while I've been having little side games when I wasn't chasing Game Pass leavings and stuff like that. This is what I've been coming back to. So I'm really close to the end game now. I just hit max level 30. I'm doing world tiers. So world tiers basically increase the difficulty, but they also increase the rewards. And you have to gain experience in each world tier in order to progress to the next. So I'm currently world tier 9.5, going to 10. And it's all been a single player so far. And luckily, I've been able to do research and, gain, standing on the shoulders of giants. I kind of know the good path to go through, with the Technomancer. It's great for a solo person to play because you can just melt things. And I also learned about this farming method that you can do. Basically, it was for pyromancer. I'm sorry, a technomancer, but I think anybody can do it. So I just started doing that recently, and I'm building up my gear to get end game gear. So I'm at the point where I think I can start pushing for end game and have the full completion. And I might. There's 1 or 2 achievements that require multiplayer. So I will go in and do those. That's just like complete a level or something like that. And so I'll do that, and then that should be the completion. But it's been a very enjoyable game. The achievements are fairly spaced out. There's a lot of end game stuff, like completing all the quests, doing all the huntings, doing all the contract killings. And if you save those for the end game, when you open the rewards for completing each one of those missions, you get gear that is at your level. So you can get them, as you're going, and that'll kind of get you up to the next level of damage or whatever. Or you can wait to the end and hope that gear is really, really good. So that's kind of what I've been doing with the last 4 or 5 in each one of those categories. So I'm really close to the point where I'm just going to start pushing up that world tier, get to the max level for that, and then just hope that all my gear that I've been saving gets me over the hump. But yeah, it's been a great game. It's got me interested in going back and doing other things like the Division and the Division 2. Like I never finished the Division because it required a party. So I think that was way back at my beginning of starting to play with people. So at that time I hadn't found like a group. So it'd be nice to go back and go in and finish up the Division with a group and then move on to Division 2 and so on and so forth.
Is this game similar to the Division? I always thought it was more like a Destiny-like. Or is it just kind of its own
floaty thing? I can't get over the floatiness of Destiny.
It's like Gears and Destiny.
I was going to say it's like a mix between Gears and the Division.
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me, because both of those are over the shoulder, whereas Destiny is first person, right?
Right.
If I remember, yeah, it's first person shooter.
Man,
so
that's so long.
So I think it's a good mix of those two, and it actually got me wanting to play Gears 5, Gears 4. So I really
highly recommend Gears 5.
Yeah, this third person, really, really want to go check out those games. But of course, I'm going to get pulled off, and certainly by no game that we're going to be talking about later.
No.
But so Outriders,
it's
a great game. And it was in Game Pass. I think a lot of people overlooked it because it was in Game Pass. And it was a solid experience.
Yeah, I enjoyed our time with Outriders too. We didn't get through the campaign as yet, but we've played a solid enough chunk of it that like every time we jump back into it, it always starts with, oh, let's just try to get the next mission done. Let's just try to do this next thing. And that starts and, oh wait, there's a hunt over here. Let's just do that real quick. Oh, there's a historian quest over here. Let's just do that real quick. And the gameplay, the use of magic type skills, like with the pyromancer or the technomancer where you're using fire. It's not just that you use fire magic. That fire magic heals you. So you sort of use it strategically to be able to stay in the battle if you're paying attention to things. There's a lot of modifications on the weapons you use, and those modifications on the weapons will cause things like freezing effects on enemies. And when you're playing in multiplayer especially, you sort of combine these things, and it plays so nicely. Like, I don't know a better way to say that, but the gameplay is it's fun. So yeah, it is.
And that's one of the things I learned was, there are a couple of YouTubers that were really into it and like the theory crafting and saying, okay, you want to get gear that has these stats primarily, and then you want to get these mods that allow you to survive more or to do more crit damage and those sorts of things. And that's really what's helping me be able to push the end game solo, even into those challenge tiers, those challenge world tiers that are at the very, very end. So I'm about to dip into those and see, well, do I need to pull people aside for dedicated time, or can I do most of this by myself?
Well, and I think that speaks to one of the things Outriders does very well, is because you can play, it starts on just like a story tier, which I think is just tier 0, which is pretty much you just go in and you just murder everything. And then it goes all the way up to 12. Does that sound correct? Or I know you said you're at 9.5.
Yeah, I think it goes all the way up to 15.
15, okay. But everything...
Are we on like 2?
we're on to for reasons that don't have anything to do with me, but I won't get into that too much. So.
Dang. There's all kinds of shots being fired. Man.
But you can choose the tier that fits the way you want to play the game, and you can change that throughout the game. And as Koosh already said, that will affect the awards you get. But if you're just feeling like you want to just run in again and just run and gun and do what you have to do, you can. If you're feeling you want to hang back and play the game differently, you can. And it's not just legendary difficulty, normal difficulty, and casual. It's on such a nice slope of difficulty that it feels super accessible no matter how you're looking to play the game. And it is kind of a shame that like you said, it went kind of under the radar for some people because it just sort of, popped into Game Pass, which was wonderful. But I think that caused a lot of people to sleep on it as well.
Oh, yeah. Going solo, I basically just kept the world tiers just auto incrementing as I went until I got to... they're not the end bosses, but they are I think 3 or 4 bosses from the end. I had to back down 1 or 2 world tiers in order to be able to beat them.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that because once I beat them, I just jacked it back all the way up, and I'm doing okay again. And now I didn't know the strategy for maxing my damage and stuff. And basically, if you saw a piece of gear that had higher numbers, you took it. You didn't really pay too much attention to the mods and making sure that the mods played well together. And that's what I have to do for this end game. But one thing, I don't know if it was discussed way back when, but the pathfinding. Did you have an opinion on that?
What do you mean?
And there's Go ahead.
So when you have a mission, you select what your active mission is, and you can push up on the D-pad.
Right.
And it'll do the little
waypoint
light follows. And it's pretty cool light. I do like the way it moves. But a lot of times it will go through a wall that you can't progress through.
Really?
It'll go through this little, either because of the story you haven't opened it up yet, or because you don't have the right active mission or something. But several times I've had it point through a little pass that I can't go through. And I just have to run around until it changes the way it goes, until it's rerouting. And then I can finally go around the correct way. And I don't know if that was just me or if other people experienced that.
That was especially the case. There's one achievement in Outriders called the Outriders Legacy. I don't know if it's called the Outriders Legacy, but it's for completing the Outriders Legacy, which is a series of submissions, optional missions that you can choose to do. And that happens all the time when you pick that as a quest, because that particular set of missions is meant to tell the story of what happened with the Outriders. And it's not going to tell you that all at once. It's going to tell you that as you open up different levels. So yes, absolutely. I know what you're talking about, where you're like, all right, this is cool. I'm going to do this. And then it's not even just that you hit a wall. Frequently the way that you traverse between segments of things in Outriders is there'll be a little cliff you have to jump across, or a wall you have to shimmy through. And for some reason, you are incapable of doing that until the game decides, okay, now's the time. So you're looking at it going, I know I can do this. It's just not ready yet. So we've definitely experienced that too. Well, at least I have.
But it does a great job of bad guy go boom. The explosions and all the powers are super cool. I mean, that you can shoot people, and lightning will shoot down from the sky to hit them. And you can just have fire tornadoes, and it's just insane. It's very cool and should not be overlooked.
Agreed.
Yeah, so going back to what you were saying, it looks like this came out April 1st. I can't believe that's when Michelle and I first talked about it.
Yeah.
I think she was on that episode with me. It was a year ago.
I believe so.
Yeah, the Destiny part comes from the inventory screen, basically. The looting reminds me of Destiny.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Basically the same screen. And
right, where it's functions more like a mouse and keyboard sort of menu, where you have a cursor you hover over as opposed to snapping over the items, that kind of thing, just like Destiny.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the finding the weapons is the exact same thing, and the dismantling of items and all that stuff is just the same, from what I recall. A little hint
So
there,
it's kind of
Koosh.
like a conglomeration of all these games like that.
I know what this hint's going to be. Go ahead.
I might have given this hint out before. Yes, if you hit down on the D-pad that'll collect all the stuff. I don't remember if I think I told your group that one day.
Yeah. You jumped into the group and told them, and repeatedly told them.
Is that what they told you?
Yeah, that's what they told me. But they're a bunch of liars, so backstabbers,
jerks.
Well, imagine
and little timers. They are little timers, and we don't have to give them time. That's it. We've given them too much.
Right.
Imagine jumping into that party and trying to talk over certain people there that make me look quiet, like a certain Patriots suck guy. Like, yeah, so I have to repeat myself several times. But yes, if you hit down on the D-pad, it picks up all the loot. You don't have to go searching for it.
Well,
there we go.
That's very nice. That's a very helpful tip.
It is a helpful tip. I'm sure you don't actually do it, but it's a helpful tip.
So yeah, that was Outriders.
Outriders.
A month or two.
Probably.
Do you think they're going to get rid of it? Because
I don't know.
Looks like it's on sale.
According to Frame.
Looks like it's on sale for $19.79.
I mean, Square Games about a year seems like kind of where they wind up landing. So we're in the danger zone either way.
Yeah, who knows how the money is made there?
Right.
But, a year seems about right.
Yeah, especially because this is one that launched into Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Elle, what games do you want to talk about?
All right. The first game I wanted to talk about is a game that caught me a little bit off guard called Ultimate Ski Jumping 2020. Now, I remember getting this back in, 2020. And
Way back when.
Whoever else got it. Yeah, I know. Whoever else got it, basically what we did was the online achievement, which is just to play one game online, which of course takes about 2 seconds, and it's, a 2+ ratio, because that's how TA goes.
Who wants to play online?
I know.
People.
I think I even did it with KooshMoose. I'm going to say I did, but he can correct me. I remember there's a crazy loading screen. It takes forever, and the word loading in tiny, tiny print. So the game is very simple. There's 2 types of controls, classic and realistic. Classic, you just hit A to time your jump when you're going down the slope, and then you hit A again to land, and that's it. You can also adjust your person in midair. Unfortunately, you can't do any like crazy tricks and flips and stuff like that. That would be really fun. But it's just jumping. And then the realistic mode is you're hitting A and B together to control both legs. And then hit them both. Yeah, I know. So the achievements are mostly in the grindy sense. You're doing 10 matches on the normal. They're doing 10 matches in classic. And you have to win 50 times. And then you have to win 250 times. Now, in the process of winning 50 times, you'll probably get the other grindy achievement to get 10,000 total money. And a hint there is to not spend any of the money until you get 10,000, as it's 10,000 in the bank total, not cumulative. Because there's another achievement for buying an outfit. And I saw some people in the comments saying, oh, crap, I wish I knew that. I wasted money on an outfit. I should have done that after. So there's a campaign that has 10 levels with poorly written English dialogue, and it's really not that hard. Once you get the hang of it, you get the timing down, you get it done. There's one achievement I have an issue with, which is to win 250 times. So as it stands, I'm done with all the other achievements, and I don't even have 100 wins yet. So now I have to sit there and grind out 150 more wins.
How long is a race?
It's not long, but you have to go, like, there's a solution to go into the shortest race on easy, and you'll win most every time, even if you fall down and bail. It might take a minute or two each run, but then you have to go back into the menu, select all the settings again, and then go from there. You can't just hit restart and do it again.
So it's just tedious.
It's tedious. I imagine a certain other panelist over here did it with the help of a nephew.
Possibly.
And that is, I was telling Michelle, like, this is the perfect achievement to have a Cronus. And so I had to bring this up and talk about it on the show.
Sounds like you need to get yourself a nephew.
Are they below $100 yet? Like they're just expensive, right?
They're below 100.
Are they findable?
What, they $60?
Well, I haven't looked in a while, but
I heard
I
you
would say they were.
I heard during the
Cronus
pandemic.
Max, I think it's like 60.
I heard during the pandemic you were buying all the toilet paper, milk, and Cronuses. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is true.
That's what I heard.
I just imagine, we're not a video podcast, but I just imagine someone editing like toilet paper and then like Kronos, the guy in Discord, like an image there showing up at your door.
Oh, no. Something actually useful, the Cronus.
Oh, ouch.
Oh.
Ouch.
What?
You leave ex-povos alone.
But,
Man, I got the title for this podcast. It's
Well,
the podcast where
leave
shots were
Cronus
fired.
alone.
Looks like a Cronus Max on Amazon can be purchased for $110.
Oh, maybe they're not.
That is not less than $100, Nate.
Yeah, I seem to remember it was about 60 when I got mine.
I think that's how much it was when I got mine.
You have one? You don't have Anyway, there's
Well, never mind's that.
the last thing I wanted to mention is that it is worth 1,700 plus TA, so it's actually a pretty good G-Test game for a true achievement difference score. The 250 wins alone, I think, is worth 400 of it, just about. But I see this game go on sale for like $5 or $250 pretty often, so I would grab it then. It's actually not as bad as it seems. And that's Ultimate Ski Jumping 2020, which is just like my vision and Barbara Walters' vision too.
That was terrible.
I agree. Go to Michelle and jump back to me.
All right.
I'm going to go take a nap.
Okay.
That's
next
just
case,
rude.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Ooh, sandwich.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about a game that isn't super recent. As I have noted elsewhere on the panel, I think before, and as I have mentioned frequently in Discord, I participate annually in Better Completions Matter. I'm not very good at it because I'm not very good at completing games, but one thing I really started to enjoy doing was going after the random game selector game every month. So once a month in Better Completions Matter, you get one game drawn from your collection, and the goal is to try to complete it that month. I completed all 12 last year, didn't intend to do it again this year, but first month I drew Celeste, which was great. I only had 2 achievements left. Last month I drew Lost Words, which is also great. Real short, inoffensive, pretty enjoyable Game Pass game. So this month I got the curveball of Tomb Raider Underworld. For those,
All right.
Yeah, so little history lesson on Tomb Raider Underworld. Back, in the PlayStation 1 games, we had the original Tomb Raider trilogy, and all was fine with that. And then the series sort of kept pumping out games, but they weren't very good. So before we had this new set of Tomb Raider games, the ones that everybody really loves, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, just Tomb Raider, there was actually a set of relaunched games in 2006 or so. That was actually kind of the first attempt at a franchise reboot. And these were Tomb Raider Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld. This is unfortunately also the reason why Crystal Dynamics is no longer allowed to develop Legacy of Kain games. But here we are. Tomb Raider Underworld plays like old Tomb Raider games. Now, I don't have a lot of experience with the newer ones that everybody really likes because I don't typically choose to play good games, apparently.
You're missing out.
But hopefully I will get there at some point. Tomb Raider Underworld plays like those older games. So what does that mean? It's a lot of traversing around ancient historical sites. I think at some point, the older ones have a lot of block pushing puzzles. I haven't encountered that so much yet in Tomb Raider Underworld. One of the hooks of Underworld is it was meant to be more open world, which means, of course, that they launch you into the very first level and you spend almost the entire time underwater, which is never really a great portent.
No.
But I have to say, so far, it's okay. It's pretty enjoyable for what it is. It is very much a Tomb Raider game. You're raiding tombs, so to speak, but you're also kind of uncovering some of the background of what happened to Lara's mom in the earlier games in that relaunched set of games. I don't believe this impacts the more current ones in any way because, again, they're reboots. But I have two problems with this Tomb Raider Underworld. Problem number one is the camera sucks. It is so bad. You try to look around a corner and things are going all over the place, and I get confused because I'm thinking, well, as you know, I'm one of those weirdos that inverts controls, no matter what. And I'll move the camera around and go, oh, this all feels weird. So then I'll pause the game, go into options, and it has magically uninverted itself. I would think that this is just me. Except for Elle has actually been helping me with the game being a guide reader so that I'm not monitoring both. And he saw this several times when we were hanging out over the weekend, how I would stop on a ledge and just keep looking up and down, go into options, and wouldn't you know, my inversion had uninverted itself. It is infuriating. Because it's bad enough in old Tomb Raider games when you're trying to jump from a little pile of rocks onto a handhold and you wind up jumping to your death. But when you're struggling with the bad cameras and your inversion suddenly undoing itself, it is unfortunate because I'm actually enjoying the game otherwise. One of the achievements in Tomb Raider Underworld does force you to play the game on the hardest difficulty, but Tomb Raider games, as Chewie pointed out to me, are not combat heavy. So if you just take it slow and fight in the few portions where you have to fight, most of the game is still just traversal. So it's really not too bad to play on the hardest difficulty. But you can't fall very far when you're on the hardest difficulty because you take a lot of damage. And that has been my biggest issue, is this perpetual falling because the camera sucks and the inversion keeps uninverting itself. That aside, if you're not like me dealing with inversion issues, it's fine. It's one of those deals where if you're going to play Tomb Raider Underworld, unfortunately this probably isn't an available option for most people. I wouldn't play this after you played the new Tomb Raider games.
Yeah.
And I haven't played enough of the newer Tomb Raider. Now, Kenny, you had played the Tomb Raider, the PS1 Tomb Raider games, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you had history with the franchise. I have played some of Tomb Raider, the start of the recent reboots. They play pretty differently, correct? Like the new one plays more like just a straight action adventure. It's less sliding puzzles or sliding blocks and things like that, right?
Oh yeah, the older ones are more. I think they're more puzzle, whereas the new ones are more just an adventure game, almost like more akin to like an Assassin's Creed, but like not as stealthy, obviously. Where there are puzzles in the new ones in the reboot, but the game isn't puzzle heavy, whereas the old ones it is very much puzzle heavy.
And it's good that you mentioned Assassin's Creed, because as I was playing Underworld, I was like, look at how you clamber around these walls and these surfaces. It's very much like Assassin's Creed. And I played the original set of Tomb Raiders when they were new, but many years ago, and don't have a memory of them really. But you can see a lot of that sort of DNA in the way they were thinking about developing Assassin's Creed as well. Because I want to say Tomb Raider Underworld, it might have come out a little after. Let me actually just check real quick. I'm trying to just get
November 18th, 2008.
Okay, and
Underworld came out.
Assassin's Creed came out in 2007. So I honestly do not remember enough of Legend and Anniversary, but you can see that sort of imprinting in the design where it's like, oh, okay, this is how we can. One informed the other because there is a lot of similarity in how they attempt to play, with the same like looking up to the left and hoping to grab a handhold and missing it and falling to your doom.
Right. And Legends I haven't played. I imagine it's very similar to Underworld, but Anniversary is actually a remaster of the very first Tomb Raider came out on a PS1.
Right. I mean,
Anniversary is just that, but with more quality of life stuff. It's not as headache inducing because of poor controls.
Right. I finished Tomb Raider Legend in 2008. I really don't have any memories of it at this point. I mean, that was 14 years ago. That's terrifying. But yeah, Tomb Raider Underworld is fine. Camera quibbles aside, it is fine at what it's trying to do. It is definitely a product of its era in terms of the design and the look, but it plays like more or less how you would expect it to. If you like the newer Tomb Raider games, I don't know that I would advise going back because it plays differently enough that that's not really what you're looking for. Tomb Raider Underworld definitely play style-wise is more akin to early Assassin's Creed games than it is to the current Tomb Raider games. But it's a backwards compatible title, which makes it much easier to access. And it plays just fine. I'm enjoying my time with it despite my frustrations. So hopefully I'll keep plugging away at it and get it done within the month. But yeah, that's Tomb Raider Underworld.
All right, quick question.
Yes.
What Xbox version do you have?
What Xbox version do I have?
Yeah, are you playing an OG, a Series?
I'm playing on the Series X.
Okay.
Via backwards
Do
compatibility.
you have a standard controller or you have the Series X controller?
I have the Series X controller.
Have you looked at the options for inverting the Y-stick axis?
So I had done that in the past, and what happened is that with some of the backwards compatible titles, especially with cloud saving, they already knew like what my inversion was, so those games were playing backwards. So I wound up not inverting it in there. So I could go back because really it's just an option, a click, and that's true. Maybe doing it that way where it's built in will stop that. I just don't know that it will because it's something within the game itself. Like you switch it to yes and it switches back to no. I'm guessing if you keep it on no, it won't switch to yes. So yeah, it could be worth trying.
I would assume because that would be really horrible for air quotes normal people. I know. It'd be really frustrating for them.
I know. Look,
but yeah, I think a system level invert would work better. So
this is the second time in recent memory where somebody went just Tarragon had Spaceman had also said for some other game, like, why don't you just do it in the internal? I'm like, I've done it before, but you know what? Maybe enough things are happening now where it's time to just go in and change that setting internally. So I'll give that a try and I'll report back and let you know if that seems to have fixed the issue.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, the controls will always have, like, as Kenny could attest to immediately, the cameras have always been awful in those early Tomb Raiders. That's not going to be
so
fixed.
Bad.
But that extra layer of difficulty, if I can remove it, would probably make the gameplay experience quite a bit smoother. I will let you know.
That when you got up to go to the bathroom, I would just switch the setting back, right, Michelle?
I'm pretty sure you didn't do that because I'm not sure you actually know how to navigate the menu.
Oh, right.
But
batting zero today.
Beat me to it.
I know. Came ready as prepared.
But yeah, the enemies killed you, I think, 0 times, and it was all just from falling or like nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hallmark to these older Tomb Raider games. It very much is exploration first, and then, oh, look, we'll throw a bat in there so you have something to shoot.
It's either a bat or a huge dinosaur. There's no in between.
No, this game was
wild.
tigers. Tigers were the
yes.
wildlife enemy of choice.
So far.
Tigers, there's zombies in the series. Zombie tigers.
Aren't there dinosaurs? I'm not
flaming
imagining
lions,
that, right?
dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs are in the earlier game, I think.
T-Rex was in the first.
Yeah.
Right.
Bats are the worst.
Quickly wanted to know, because I didn't note this at all before, with the achievements in Tomb Raider Underworld, there are a lot of collectibles in the game. There are treasures you have to find throughout the stages, and there are relics you have to find. And quite a number of the achievements are attached to that. You can go back into levels, so that's awesome. There are
perfect.
a couple of missable achievements. These involve diving, so Tomb Raider games have long had this thing where, you find the highest thing you can possibly jump off of, and you do a swan dive, which you do by pressing A and then pressing B right away. And the dive animation is different. So there's an achievement attached to finding 3 different dive points, and you have to find all 3 within one play of the game to get one of those achievements. And there's another set of achievements for... I haven't gotten up to that point yet, so I'm not 100% sure, but you have to race from one part of an area to another in like 45 seconds or 50 seconds. But that's another issue where you have to do all 3 of them in a single playthrough. And with that one in particular, you have to make sure you do them in order on a single save file, or it will glitch. You do have 4 save files you can choose to create checkpoints on, which is awesome. If you're worried about falling off of something, that's been very helpful. But if you do the first one of these speed trap type things, and then you save that on save 1, and then you go to save 2, and you save the second one, you might glitch yourself out of getting that achievement on that playthrough, and it is fairly deep in. So just beware of that if you're looking at the achievements. There is a great walkthrough on TA that lays out everything, and it's one of those walkthroughs that's possibly a little annoying because it'll lay out stuff that's obvious for you, like jump on this box, then grab this handhold, then shimmy to the right. Like, you literally can't do anything else. But it's good because it is so thorough. It lays out exactly where all of the collectibles are. So if you're looking to do this in one run, that's a great way to do it. Otherwise, if you don't want to use walkthrough, keep in mind those couple of missables, and then you can always go back into the levels once you're done to pick up collectibles you missed.
All right. In that case, let's continue on.
Ooh.
Let's get it. Yes, Al?
We have more games to talk about, mister.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you want to talk about?
I was excited to talk about a game that was fun. Oh my god! I said,
Ooh.
yeah. So there is a game called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutants in Manhattan. It is from 2016, and unfortunately, it was delisted from the digital marketplace.
Boo.
But there is a physical version, which unfortunately I had to get. And Michelle had to get. And Prue also has it. And we had to find a fourth friend who had it as well. And we came across Mr. Icefire TN. So we we asked him to play with us, and he did. And we wound up, and the online still works, thankfully. And it's from Platinum Games, which Michelle says is good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It is good. It is good. I promise you that it's good.
So,
I know you don't play AAA games, but if you ever did, Vanquish and Bayonetta are really, really great.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that.
And I did not play near Automata, but Kenny did, and he spoke about it.
It's Autotomata. Come on.
And he seemed to enjoy that too. So Platinum is a quality developer.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So one thing I could say right off the bat is that the animation is superb. The action is fast and furious. The music is chaotic, crazy. It's just, the Turtles have a distinct, unique art style to any other version of the Turtles. So definitely, but it's definitely
Is
Turtles
that
game.
bad?
I don't know. It's always ever changing. Some of the foreheads look weird and just, I don't know. You don't really notice that unless they're cutscenes.
No, you noticed that. I was saying when we were playing the other day, like, Donatello really, really looks like a human being cosplaying as Donatello. It's just the art
and
style.
Now I need to look this up.
It's not bad. It looks fine when it's in motion, but his still character portrait, that's always what I see, is somebody who's just about to go to Comic-Con ready in his best Donatello. And it's a really good Donatello suit. It's just, it's a human being looking like Donatello.
Right off the bat, we're like, if you go on TA, it says it's a 60 to 80 hour completion. So it's like, what the heck is this? If you do a little research, you find out it's mostly grindy achievements. You're going to have to replay the levels over and over and over. I think you're going to get collectibles. You're going to get charms. You're going to get points towards this and upgrades towards that. So I think there's a lot of that. We wound up playing the first 5 out of 9 levels last night. And you can select any level you want, even from the start. You don't have to go in order for whatever reason. But we did, of course, go in order. As far as achievements go, the only real high ratio one was doing something during a boss battle, just shooting at the light, which they show you how to do during the tutorial. And that was a 2 ratio. There's an achievement for all 4 turtles to simultaneously touch contaminated water, which would probably be difficult if you were playing single player. Because if you're playing single player, you find out in the tutorial, it's kind of like those games where you say, follow me, or go over there, go fight. So is there a genre term for that kind of game where you're like ordering around the AI?
That's sort of squad-based gameplay.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So like in Halo 5, I think you do that. And
yeah,
some other games like that. So far so good. I know there's collectibles, but I'm not quite sure how they work. Did you get a sense of that, Michelle?
There are, so the 9 levels are kind of sort of open world, but not really. They are self-inclusive, but they're not completely linear. So the first level, for example, you're in a city, and you really can go anywhere within this city, but you have certain events you have to do in order to get through and eventually progress to the boss at the end. As you explore these areas, I think they're actually cards. We found 2 last night, and when you're playing in multiplayer, it just takes for any one of the players to find it, and it collects for everybody. Or at least that's what I think had happened. So Prue had found one on top of a tall building that was out of the way. And while Prue was like, hey guys, I found a collectible, I went over to go see if I could collect the collectible as well. And I found another one along the way. So when I got up to where Prue was, the collectible was no longer there for me. So there are some things in co-op that do trigger together. So certain, if you're finishing enemies and things like that. But there are also things that track separately. The tracking is definitely a little difficult to peg down in Mutants in Manhattan. So, for example, there's one achievement for there are these purple lasers in some levels, and you can just shoot a shuriken at the middle, and they'll explode. There's an achievement for destroying 30 of those. One of us got it last night because the other 3 clearly have not hit that 30 threshold yet. Also, in-game, the achievement tracker is a little weird, so it tracks some things, like there's one for defending 10 pizza stands. That has tracking, but there's one for walking 32 miles, and that does not have tracking. So it's inconsistent in the way that it tracks the achievements as well.
Right. Because the achievement for hitting the light that I spoke of earlier did pop for all 4 of us, so it was inconsistent, like you said. But we're going to be playing the levels over and over anyway, and so far it's fun, but we were playing on easy. To be noted, there's an achievement for beating the game on either easy or normal, as well as an achievement for beating it on hard, which I believe do not stack, but that's okay, because then we do stupid things like play on hard right away and wind up getting frustrated. So, unlike a certain other game we've been playing, easy mode felt easy-ish. And we did die, and you could just if you go down and out, you basically play a pizza eating mini game and you come back. So I guess as long as all 4 of you don't die at the same time, which never happened to us, I don't think, you're okay.
No, it didn't happen. What's great though is when you do run out of pizza, right, you wind up in your shell just kind of flailing around on the ground, and the way that you get revived is another turtle comes and flips you over, which is just fantastic. So just kind of a neat little thing. And the game is fun. It is definitely, I can't remember if it was Prue or Icefire who noted that the game has a lot of mechanics for a Turtles game. Usually Turtles games are sort of just go in and mash B or, Y for your strong attack and you should be good. It's not overwhelming. It definitely plays a little differently than your typical Turtles game does. The big concern really is it does look to be very, very grindy. So hopefully it doesn't outstay its welcome. But so far, it's been a blast.
I just watched a video of some gameplay, and your description of someone cosplaying as a turtle is spot on. And I just, oh my God, I just bust out laughing. That was hilarious. It's so good.
The writing is good in the game too, though. Sorry, Al. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we did laugh several times during the cutscenes.
It's very much like whoever wrote the game definitely understood the humor and the general tone that the turtles strike when they're in mass media. So that's been very good.
Right. Donatello's extra nerdy, Raphael's extra sarcastic, Michelangelo's extra stoner, and Leonardo's extra useless. So yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's about right.
It's absolutely perfect. Yeah, unfortunately, the one thing I have to say is that if you look on eBay, used copies of this game are going for $50 plus. So that's insane.
50?
Yeah. So
Jeez, yo whiz.
yeah,
Wow.
I was lucky to find it before everything went up in price, but now it's just absurd.
Wow.
Yeah. And I believe there's a 360 stack as well. So get ready.
There is, yeah. Oh boy. Is it backwards compatible? Because if it isn't,
No.
oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Absolutely not.
No.
Because
It's not
there
backwards
is-
compatible. It's not worth playing.
No, I can't say 100% sure what everyone's playing on, but I believe all four of us are playing on Series X's, and there are notable loading times going between levels. Not ridiculous, but we're a little spoiled with the Series X about how good it is with loading times. I don't even want to know what it's like on the 360 version. It's no thank you.
No, thank you
All right.
indeed. But thank you, Platinum Games and Activision. And that was Toidles, Mutants in Manhattan.
All right. Well, with that, let's get on to the next section. Let's get into some sales. Michelle, you're up first.
So I looked at the list and, I browsed as I do, and nothing stood out to me. And then, Koosh has got this ability to be in your mind when he's looking at sales. I think as he's going through them, little names pop up as he sees the games. And he's like, Matrarch, have you thought about Trenga? And I went, I don't know what that is, Koosh. And I watched one video and now I'm buying Trenga. So Trenga, I guess, is supposed to be Tetris and Jenga.
Oh.
That's
Interesting.
what it looks like. It looks sort of like a Jenga grid. You are putting in blocks in that Jenga grid to create effectively Tetrises to get the box down to 0. So it's a little bit like reverse Jenga. It doesn't look like it's an overwhelming game. It's a 6 to 8 hour completion according to TA with 1400 TAD. It is currently $3.14, which was funny because yesterday was Pi Day, down from $7.99. But yes, I went from looking at the sales list and going, there's an Artifacts game, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, to, well, now it's not even just a tab. It's in my cart and now in my backlog. Thank you, Koosh. But that's it for me. It's your fault.
Use my referral link. That's the question.
You need one. You need
For
one.
real,
I think
though.
Finder's
Should get
fee.
one for the site.
you know what I
That'd be
think
good.
we need to do. We need to do a patron special thing on Wednesday or Tuesdays at 9:00, a day after the sales come out, and you can just be on a Zoom call for an hour, and a patron can step in and go, Koosh, what should I buy? And you'll get them something to buy and break them out of their gaming slump. So thank you for the recommendation. I look forward to playing this game.
I hope it's good. I know I pushed you wrong with pipe push or whatever that thing was. But
Pipe push in theory wasn't a bad idea. It just wasn't executed great. So I don't regret my time with pipe push. It was a little glitchy. So there were some issues with the game that were outside of the game that made it unenjoyable. But the basic premise was fine. So no negative marks. I'm not throwing all the shade today. I'll save that for next week after I've played Trenga.
Trenga. I'm going to go next
Okay.
because I just thought of something. And it'll make sense in a minute. So the Konami collection games are on sale. So Contra Anniversary, Castlevania Anniversary are $5 down from $20. Castlevania Advance is still $15. Hello, come on. Needs to go a little cheaper. But I forgot to mention that they announced a Turtles collection like this. I'm so excited.
I'm very much excited for this as well.
Oh my god. So, and they even said a few of the games are going to be playable online. So I'm excited for that. It's all the NES, SNES, Game Boy, and arcade games, and Genesis. It's all the old stuff. The only downfall is that the retail price is $40, but it's going to be hard to wait on that. But I know they will be on sale like this, like they always are. But we'll see. We'll see. Just wanted to say I'm excited for that. But yeah, these for $5, the Contra, Castlevania, good deals, especially if you're young and never played any of these growing up. Know your roots.
Man, there's a lot of good Turtles games coming. You got that collection coming, then we got Shredder's Revenge, which, oh my god, that game looks so good.
Yeah, April kicked some butt in that game.
All right, I'm going to go next for sales recommendations. Hood Outlaws and Legends is on sale, $20. It's now down, or it's $10 down from $20. That's what I'm trying to say. That's like the Robin Hood online game. I've been kind of putting this one off. This was something I've had interest in. I've been putting it off, hoping it was going to come to Game Pass, just because it seems like such a good Game Pass game. But $10, that might be the time to pull the trigger on that. And then another game I just saw, Michelle, you just mentioned it with Platinum Games, but Bayonetta is on sale for $10.
Yeah, Bayonetta is great. But I think, was it Games with Gold at some point? I feel like I'm always a little hesitant to recommend games that might have been available more freer at some point.
More freer.
Was it?
I'm not 100% sure.
So.
But it's excellent. And so either way, if you haven't played it, there's a very specific development style to Platinum games, and you can really feel like they're different. They don't feel like you're just playing reskins of the same game, but you can definitely feel that whatever it is about how that intangible thing about their development. So yeah, I would totally recommend it if you haven't played it before.
I have not. This was also one of those games where, like Nier, I have some interest in, but then I look at it, I go, but do I actually really want to play it? Because it looks cool to watch.
I
don't know about playing it.
I will say with Bayonetta that it is very Japanese, and I don't mean that in any kind of negative way. Just sensibility wise, it's very Japanese. So if that doesn't, I know you like anime and things like that, so that wouldn't bother you. But just speaking honestly about what Bayonetta is, if you engage with that sort of stuff and you go, this is really strange, and that bothers you, Bayonetta will not do it for you. It is really strange, but it's good, and it looks like it was Bayonetta was a Game Pass game at some point, not games with, or no, it was Games with Gold at some point, the 360 one.
Oh.
So, but yeah, it's a good game. Absolutely, give it a shot.
And Nate, would you recommend it?
Sure. So there's an Artifacts Monday game. Last week there were a couple packages and there were 2 standalones, and this one's a standalone. It's Endless Fables Dark Moor.
Oh.
It's $3.75, down from $15. We also have Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered. It's $4.50, down from $30. This is a sandbox destructible environment game. It's like GTA with sledgehammers, where you can just walk up to a building and just knock it down, and that's always cool.
Interesting.
And finally, there's 9 Monkeys of Shaolin. Now, this is $4, down from $20. It is a beat-em-up. It's by developer Sobaka, which is the same as Redeemer. That Redeemer game I talked about a while back, and finally went back to cleaning it up, and just really enjoyed my time with it. As far as beat-em-ups go, it was a ton of fun. And so I'm recommending 9 Monkeys of Shaolin just based off of that previous game that they've done. I wanted to start 9 Monkeys, but I got distracted. You know how shiny things are.
Shiny.
There you go.
There's another Artifacts on sale as well. And we talked about this last week where they just do this annoying stuff. So Lost Grimoires 3 is on sale. 3. So I was talking to Michelle, like, is it worth getting this one? I mean, it's not like we really care about the stories of 1 and 2, but what if there's a package of the all 3 of them for cheaper? It's like, we don't know what to do. So yeah, this is first world problems, I know, but Lost Grimoires 3 is also $3.74. But who knows?
That's so cheap.
It is.
It's also, it
Hmm.
helps too that they're like mostly somewhere between 2 to 3 hours and like 4 to 5 hours. So these games are not huge investments. Artifacts Mundi games are also great games to play if you have, younger kids in the house, because they can help with the search and finds. Nobody's really paying that much attention to the story anyway. There are no red herrings. You always know that you're going to use everything in your inventory. Like it's a good game to play with people who will casually sit and watch you play a game, because they can interact with it too without any of the stress or twitchiness. For $3.75, like it's a good deal. Like you're really not losing out on that.
So good news, I just looked. I do own Bayonetta on a 360.
There you go.
Those games are gold.
Oh,
Good
360.
man. I expect your full report next week.
Hey, Koosh, it looks like you have 3 buddies playing Outriders right now.
I don't know if I'd call them buddies.
Frenemies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I meant
No,
to
I saw
ask, how is the AI friends?
AI.
AI friends? What do you mean?
Like,
When you're playing Outriders
When you're
solo,
playing
do you have AI companions, or you just play on your own?
You're just playing on your own.
oh, really? Okay. So when
I
you
guess
die, you
it's
die?
good.
Wow.
When you die, you go back to a checkpoint.
So no one can revive you.
No.
Wow.
Playing by yourself.
Damn. That's
I can
tough.
see the calculation in Elle's brain of like, well, I'm never doing that
I
by
am
myself.
never playing this alone, no.
That's what I'm saying. It's a good game. You can play it solo, and it's not bad.
You have to be like
All right,
careful
well-
and good. All right, never mind.
Yeah, we're past the 15th of the month, so there's a couple new games available at Games of Gold.
Yay. Free stuff.
Starting now till the April 15th on Xbox One, we have Street Power Soccer.
Yay.
And then available to the 31st on the 360 side is SpongeBob's Truth or Square. And then
Kinda good.
it is already available, but just as a reminder, you can also get The Flame and the Flood on the Xbox One. So 3 games are available to pick up right now in Games of Gold. Along with that, we have a couple of games that have been added to Game Pass. The first one is Shredders.
Oh. Keeping with the
Cloud
TMNT
PC
theme.
console.
I like
I see what you did there.
it. I like it.
Also available is, oh Jesus, how do you say that?
And
The
Little
Dungeon
Chaos.
of Nahubuk.
Okay.
It's good
Colon.
enough.
Yeah, something like that. The Amulet of Chaos.
It's an artifacts game.
Say what?
No, I don't know. It's got the colon and never mind.
Oh, I see what you said. That was dumb.
Well, apparently, based on the description, the Dungeon of Nahulbuk is its own sort of franchise, and this is a portion of that. So, that is a universe, and this is one story from that universe. I've not heard of that before, but maybe it's similar to how there's Record of Lotus War, Deedlit, and Wonder Labyrinth, where Lotus War is the big thing, and Deedlit's
might
just
like
the
this,
one little
Kenny.
piece you're getting.
I was thinking that was like some ancient Egyptian god or something like that, and I was horribly mispronouncing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. This is just based on quickly reading over the little description of the game, but that's kind of what it sounds like. It is on cloud. You could play it wherever.
Yeah, it looks like a comedy type game. It says humor.
Mhm.
It's got clumsy heroes. Tactical RPG. You would like this, Kenny. Full report
Maybe.
next week.
Kenny's doing the whole game showcase next week. It's a solo
Hell
show.
yeah.
We're completely flipping things on their head. Coming out on the 22nd is Tainted Grail Conquest. This is only for the console. Also coming out on the 22nd is Zero Escape, the Nonary games for cloud, console, and PC. Coming on the 24th is Narco for the PC.
Point click. Nice.
Also on the PC, on console on the 24th is F1 2021. They're a year late.
Yeah, really.
March 29th is Crusader Kings 3, which is going to be an Xbox Series X and S exclusive. Well, not exclusive, it's just on there. It's already on the PC. And then on the 31st is Weird West.
I have to
Sounds like
say, This is the first time in a long time when I've looked at a list of new Game Pass games, and there hasn't been one game where I've immediately had some sort of, oh wow, I'm so excited that came, or this is something I've heard about and now there's access, which really speaks to how amazing Game Pass is.
Yeah.
Because they're putting these out a couple times a month. It's not that they release this once a month or whatever. There's so much. I saw an article in passing on Kotaku about how, like, this is a disappointing Game Pass lineup, and the write-up was essentially that, like, well, there's just really, other than they shouted out Weird West, but like it's crazy how good Game Pass is, because all these things are coming out here and some of us will dabble in them and find a hidden gem, but there's really nothing in this set that's like a wow, this is such a cool thing, at least to my knowledge.
None of these look very short, based on the descriptions. So this does seem like a deep slice of Game Pass.
Yes, agreed.
I will say Shredders is launching into Game Pass, so and
Weird West is launching into Game Pass as well, and so is Norco. So there's quite a bit that's day one Game Pass coming with this slate of games.
Yeah, Shredders for me is what's most appealing because snowboarding. I like X Games type stuff, so that's kind of up my alley. That I'm gonna want to play.
Are you a super shredder?
But
the pain in your voice, it makes it worth it.
there's also some games that are being taken away.
No.
Leaving March 31st is Madden NFL 20. Narita Boy on Cloud Console and PC now, and that is a stack. I know Nate talked about that a couple months ago when it launched.
Yep.
Probably a year ago.
And Shadow Warrior 2 on the Cloud Console and PC. And then on April 11th, we are losing Destiny 2, Beyond Light, Shadowkeep, and Forsaken for the PC.
Nothing lost there.
And then...
Here we go.
All right, now it's Nate's time to shine. Tell
One
us.
night only. We are
Coming
bringing back,
real soon.
But this time, it's got a question mark. It's coming real soon? Tunic, apparently, is going to be out tomorrow. Now, this, for you, dear listener, in the future, is in the past. So you'll know if this actually happened or not. Whereas right now, we have no idea. We can't trust it.
The future.
I mean, heck, even 2 weeks ago on Corey's last show, he mentioned that Tunic was coming real soon and found out, no, it wasn't. It was another week farther out than he thought it was. So let's talk about Tunic a little bit. You're a fox. Explore
Thank
land
you.
filled with lost legends, ancient powers, you're welcome, and ferocious monsters in Tunic, an isometric action game about a small fox on a big adventure. You are exploring, well, you might be exploring hostile and intricately connected world of shady forests, sprawling ruins, and labyrinthine, catacombs,
That word.
big words. Maybe that's why it's taking so long to come out. Fight mighty bosses deep beneath the earth, high above the clouds, and in places stranger still. You're collecting missing manual pages, bursting with hints and original full-color illustrations. Man, this game sounds too good to be true. Discover hidden treasures to help you on your way. Unearth, basically, it's Zelda, but you're a fox. So, when has Zelda ever been a wolf-like creature? So this
Zelda, but
sounds
furry.
really cool, and I hope it comes out. And I'm trying to not set myself up for disappointment by pretending that it's not coming out. So hopefully it'll be out in a couple hours and I can try it.
Now,
Probably not.
the rumor
Kenny-
had it that they didn't send out review copies to reviewers.
I don't think we even tried to get this one.
No, not us.
So-
Real reviewers.
Oh, real reviewers? No, I don't know.
Hey,
No,
I'll have you know, Michelle has a review video on YouTube of 27,000
do.
views.
1,000, I think you mean 100, but still.
No, 1,000.
I thought that
No,
was
that
the
was
a
Blaze
real
one.
that was
reviewer.
Nate's. That was Nate's.
That was Blaze's. That was Nate. That was the Blaze and the Monster Machines.
It's true.
Yeah, it was Nate.
Those kid videos are big money, as it turns out.
So I wrote reviews for TA once upon a time. I did some real reviewing, but that's been a long time
See, that's
ago.
a good one because kids will look up Blaze and then everyone else will search Blaze for a different reason.
I just really need Kenny to insert either like a Koosh happy sound effect or a Koosh sad sound effect for when the podcast comes out, based on whether or not Tunic actually made it.
We'll see.
Because usually when the studio doesn't send out review copies, it means the game is terrible, or maybe it's not ready.
I mean, that's
sure
kind of
it's a
typical media thing. If you don't send it ahead of time to reviewers, it indicates that they don't want negative publicity before it comes out, so that people avoid it. But
I'm pretty sure it's one person who's been doing the majority of this. So
yeah, it's not necessarily the case.
And this is not Game Pass?
All right.
Well, much as Tunic.
Well,
I'm sure Koosh has it pre-ordered, right?
it's probably like $15.
Oh.
I would expect 15 to 20. That's what I would expect, but I don't know.
all right. Well, in that case, let's get into the final section, Brag Camp. Take it away, Michelle.
All right, Brag Camp. I'm going to be talking about completions, and this is really super fascinating. So this is going to be the interactive portion of the show. First up, I have NBA Kirkland, who's reached a new milestone of 750 completed games. Let's remember that number, 750. MDP 73 has completed 900 games. So guys, tell me, what do you get when you add 900 and 750?
1,650.
Good. Hold on to that number. Next up, we have Jimpod UK, who has reached a milestone of 900 completed games as well. So guys, 1650 plus 900. What do you get?
Must be 2,550.
Which happens to be the same number of games that Redemption Denied has just completed. So good
Ridiculous
job, guys.
Huh.
Somebody can math.
Someone's seen the code behind the Matrix. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of code behind the Matrix, streaks, because there's nobody doing anything with ratio this week. In streaks, we have Lucas 1987 on a 50-day streak. And if you add that to 1,900, you get Unky Tim Fu with 1,950. And then some number plus that is what Prue has with 2,200. And Mr. Gompers is on 3,100 days, as is Matrarch.
Yes.
And Planting 42 edges them out with 3,150. Mad Eye Pad Eye with 3,300. And the Super Bob 49 is currently on a 2-year achievement win streak.
Good job.
All right, we got two people that has hit 500,000 gamer score. First is Chris Bud, 20. And the second is Crazy Catman. And then Raw Sauce Ross has hit 1.2 million gamer score.
In leaderboards, Casual Exile is now third in the New Zealand TA ratio leaderboard. Nice. Fistarabato is in the top 10 of Australia TA ratio leaderboard. Look at that. We have listeners from all over the world. Fluttery Chicken is now in the top 200 of the Europe TA difference leaderboard for survival. Lego Head 1977 is in the top 10 of the TA difference leaderboard for survival. Wow. Mike Pitch is in the top 200 of the completed games leaderboard for Windows Phone.
Nice.
RIP. He promised he's going to play real games. No one believes him.
There's 6 more weeks left. We're going to hear more Windows Phone milestones, I'm sure.
Get them while you can.
I guess so. Nutty Ray is in the top 50 of the England Gamerscore leaderboard. Rossos Ross is in the top 1,000 of the TA leaderboard for arcade racing. Rocker Dude, now in the top 500 of the TA leaderboard for roguelites.
Nice.
I know that name from somewhere. Retro Chief 1969 is in the top 5 of the USA Gamerscore leaderboard for point and click. Survivalist is playing survival games in the top 500 of the USA TA difference leaderboard for survival series. Sir Polygon is top 10 of the Georgia TA ratio leaderboard. And last but not least, we have our very own Elroy OMJ in the top 10 of the Gamerscore leaderboard for beat-em-ups. That's crazy. I'm going to pass him one day. And number 1 overall for the Xbox Gamerscore leaderboard for dodgeball games.
I didn't even know dodgeball was a genre.
It's not.
Oh, it is.
I think he probably typed that in himself here.
It's got to be.
I mean, there's Super Dodgeball.
Comes in.
There's that game Michelle and I played. What's that called?
Dodgeball Academia?
The German game.
No,
That's
no,
the only game I can
Stickbold.
think of.
Stickbold.
Oh, Stickbold. Oh, yeah. So Dodgeball Academia. Yeah. Stickbold. All right, so yeah, that is genre.
Wild.
And nobody tagged me in brag, so I'm not reading any. So there.
I'm gonna brag on behalf of Lucas 1987, who actually won one of the TA games. That's always cool when you see somebody you know get one of
Oh
those.
yeah, congrats to him.
Well, that will do it for us. You can follow us on twitch.tv/AH101. There we do some streaming every so often. And we also do our live shows the first Tuesday of every month. You can hit us up on Twitter. Send us a couple Twitter tweets at Achievements101. Discord can be a part of the community. Discord.io/AH101. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, where it has all of our content goes up there, videos, reviews, and whatnot. Achievement Hunting 101. And last but not least, if you are able to help us out, you can check us out on Patreon at Achievement Hunting 101. We greatly appreciate everyone who donates to us and helps us keep the show going. With all that, thank you for listening. Class is dismissed. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Cowabunga!
Hello, it's me again, Chewie on Ice, and in an unprecedented example of some complete follow-through, I am joined here by Mr. Freamwhole as we discuss the Freamwhole Completion Challenge and how we're getting on at this point in the year, as well as teasing something a little bit special. Freamwhole, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mr. Baca, and I love the fact that you commend both of us for following through on a promise that we made, a couple months ago. So
I mean, the podcast is not known for its follow-through. Let's put it that way.
No, and so are we calling this the quarter one FCC update?
Yes.
Do I dare say we try this again and at the halfway point?
I mean, let's not make any extra promises. I think following through once is pretty decent. I think expecting us to follow through twice is, we're going to have to buy some new pants if we're going to follow through twice.
There we go. I hear that. Yeah. So, it's just so much fun to talk to you, and I really appreciate. I'm in that sweet spot, being a parent of kids in high level sports, where it is our spring break. I don't know. You guys don't have spring break on your side of the pond, but there is no sports. There's no tournaments. We're in between seasons. Literally, I have a Saturday to myself, and it is glorious.
Oh, amazing. See, I have a Saturday to myself, but we're recording now in your kind of, I guess, early evening. For me, this is nearly 8 o'clock. So my wife is out partying, my children are in bed, and I've just guzzled down a massive pie, and I'm slowly working my way through a can of stout. So life is good right now.
That's wonderful. I mean, your kids are already in bed. That does seem a little early.
They are 5 and 2, so they're young.
On a Saturday, come on.
No, we've managed to stick to a kind of quite a solid routine, and they haven't figured out that it's possible for them to stay up later yet. There's going to come a point where the eldest is like, "Hang on a second, I can stay awake. I don't have to go to bed at this time." But we haven't got to that point yet. Thankfully.
Though, and maybe you'll luck out because my son, who is 13 now, he realizes if he goes to bed early, he can then wake up early, and my wife and I will not harass him while he plays video games for 2 hours in the morning. So that's where he as I burn the candle in the evening, he'll burn the candle in the morning, and we'll get our gaming in that way. So I think he's adapting to a console household.
See, I guess for us that would be the equivalent of waking up early to watch Saturday morning cartoons, right? That would be our equivalent when we
absolutely. Okay, well, we should probably get to business here.
We've got a thing to do.
As great as it is to chit chat.
Yes. So anyone who's not familiar and missed our previous wrap-up of the FCC 2021 and the introduction to 2022, why don't you just give us a very quick summary of what the FCC is before we jump in?
For sure. Yeah, this is, again, the 7th year that I've been doing this, and I've put together 30 categories that you will try to complete, specifically complete games that fit each different category. And we'll go through some of the highlights that we've got so far in the first quarter here. 2 years ago, I bumped it up to 4 separate challenges, and so there are different things that you can do in those regards, which we can touch on as well. But yeah, it's just a for fun, lighthearted, good old time.
If you're in the BCM, you might disagree with the fun element because the categories part of your challenge is part of the BCM as well. So anyone
that is
who's
true.
in that will be familiar with that.
That is true. And, the intention is I really developed this because I needed direction when it came to my gaming. As per most people, you get paralyzed by the massive library of games that we have. So if you've got some targets to go for, hey, it helps narrow it down. So enter RTDL, enter my completions challenge, enter the myriad contests that we run on this site. So yeah, let's start with the first go at it is the categories part, right? That's probably the most fun, diverse group here, and this is the one that goes back and forth between the BCM and the FCC. And I think you and I both are kind of adhering to the BCM has a minimum ratio requirement of 1.2. So those easy games don't count for these, and so I just ignore them when it comes to categories as well, because what's the point? I'm not going to pretend like I've got stuff that is going to help me at the end of the year when it just won't happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, in previous years, I didn't do the BCM, so I kind of fudged my category list by piling in a whole load of easy shovelware stuff that I had been doing throughout the year. But this year, I'm in BCM, and I'm also sticking to that rule for the categories, trying to be 1.2 and above. Although, come December, I may do a little bit of backfilling just to tick some of those boxes.
Yeah, and I should make a note. So this is the first year that Iron Fist of Snuff running the BCM took my entire list. Usually in the previous years, he has trimmed it down to take 25 of them, mainly because one of mine is just dealer's choice, where you just complete any game, and some of them overlap with some of the other things he's doing, so he would cherry pick the 25 he wanted. Well, this year he's just like, it's easy. Let's just do the whole 30. We'll give people a gimme. One thing that he did change, though, was the palindrome category, where I had requested that you complete a game whose title contains a palindrome, given the lack of palindromes that are BCM eligible, right? Because in my head, I'm thinking, well, ACA is the easiest palindrome, and those games are super easy, but the number of ACA games that reach 1.2 is incredibly small, if any. I'm not even sure if there are any. And so he adopted it to say that any achievement in a game that's a palindrome.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't picked up on that. So I've been doing the BCM variant, and I actually have a few of those already done. That's one of my few ones that I've ticked off, because the word that comes up more than I was expecting is EYE.
Yes.
And actually, I'm wondering if there are games out there that if you were to do game title, that would be a good option. Beyond Eyes.
I and Level.
No.
Eyes has the S, but I mean, in my back pocket, this was when I wrote this a year ago, right? I do the categories a year in advance. In my head, it's like, well, if this comes around, this will give me a reason to go finish Dad Beat Dads.
Oh, yeah.
And sure enough, that's still open on my my gamer tag. I've never gone through and done all the 1,000 levels or whatever you have to do in corporate ladder. So it's like, okay, well, I got that in my back pocket if I really need it. So how are you making out so far? What's your completion total?
So I have completed 15 of the challenges. However, there is a caveat there that I'm ticking them all along with every single game that I own. So I'm not slotting in final selections for each of those categories. So there's a huge amount of overlap. And I think if I was to commit games to those 15, the number would probably go down, right? Because I would be saying,
Totally.
okay, well, I'm going to use this game for this category, but that means it can't be used for these other ones. So 15 categories are covered, but not fully covered, as it were. Sometimes there's just one option at the moment, and I'd like a little bit more breathing space.
Yeah, for sure. I do the same thing, and I'm surprised this year. So I've got 13 eligible games. And of that 13, I've already slotted 8 of them. It's weird that they, only apply to a single category, and so obviously if it's the only one that counts, then it gets slotted in. And I've had 8 of them that have only hit one of these categories, and it's kind of dawned on me how really specific my list this year has been, and there's not a ton of crossover. Now, there are a few here that tick a bunch of boxes that I feel like are going to be more difficult come the end of the year. And so I'm really hoping that I can get a few more dips in those categories. But the ones I've locked in so far, and of course the BCM, you have to do a random game of the month. So my game this month was Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And I just had 2 little playthroughs to do of that one quick. But that one only applies to the 2, 3, 4 for me. And so of the moon is my 2-letter word, 3-letter word, 4-letter word. And so that one just locks in, and I don't have to worry about that for the rest of the year. Another one that I tried to do last month that I finished before leaving Game Pass was Tehu Aluna Nights. Is that how it's pronounced?
Tauhau? I have no idea.
One of those. The only one that applied for me was there's no I in team, where the developer publisher contains the word team. And so, again, just slots in really nice. I don't have to worry about that, and I can move on with my life.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to pick up as well that I was surprised actually that one of mine I've got an abundance of choice for, which is for Pugilist, which is completing a game where you punch enemies. And apparently so far this year I have been doing a lot of punching because I have Deer Simulator, Duke Nukem Manhattan Project, River City Ransom, and Bourne Conspiracy, all of which involved fisticuffs of some sort.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mine was the game Crisis. And there actually is an achievement for punching one of those nanosuit soldiers with a super punch. So I was like, oh, well, perfect. I couldn't find anything else that applied to.
Have you got any noticeable gaps in your categories yet that you're thinking, ooh, that's going to give me some trouble? I think I need to try and find something for that.
The I before E, except in Wakapeil, is going to be a tricky one.
Yeah, I don't have anything for that one yet either.
There is, the one that keeps popping in my head is Wolfenstein, but I don't know if I can do a Mein Leben playthrough on that.
Which one is it?
Well, that's like in the second one, I suppose. The first one, I think, is semi-doable, but that still does involve a difficulty.
New Order and Old Blood both have exploits.
Ooh.
So you can play them on the easy difficulty, and then on the final boss, you can literally just switch the difficulty, and as long as you can beat that final boss, you've done the hardest playthrough.
Ooh, that's nice.
Similar to BioShock and a few other of the older 360 games where you
I'm literally doing that right now with Sniper Elite V2.
Yeah,
I'm doing the Gold Bar and Jugs playthrough and on Cadet, and then doing the Sniper Elite difficulty glitch.
Yeah,
and it's working beautifully.
I do really recommend both New Order and Old Blood. They are great. I'm not a big first-person shooter guy, but the stories and the kind of the setting and the atmosphere and the tone of those are really, really good. And like I say, I'm not skilled. I'm a terrible gamer when it comes to any kind of skill. Right. And I've completed New Order, and I would have completed Old Blood if it wasn't for the trial maps, which I haven't even attempted, but I believe are quite hard. But yeah, hard playthroughs are not an issue with those games because of the exploit. Right.
No, that's awesome. It's good to know. The one I just completed a game, finally went back and cleaned up the Dead Island DLC that I did. The multiplayer was all that I had left, and so quickly went through that this month. And that one, I didn't realize when I wrote this, because I have As a Doornail, where you complete a game whose title contains the word dead. And I also have EA, it's in the game, a title who has consecutive letters EA. And it turns out, well, of course those are, because Dead has EA in it. It didn't occur to me that would be
common.
the case. So, we've got that one covered, but that one also hits the fully vaccinated, where you complete a game with syringes and injectables. Yeah,
so I was going to bring up that one, and that one is one of my gaps at the moment. I was actually surprised because, I think most kind of healing or boosting type items involve something like that. But actually, I've completed 20 or so games, and I haven't hit that one yet. So I'll be on the lookout.
Collectively, the biggest gaps I have are games regarding animals. So PETA would be proud, where you complete a game that has weapons and animals, but you can't kill them. And on the other side of killing things to, use them for crafting and whatever, the games I play don't have animals. So completing a game that contains an animal with stripes, a rideable animal or creature, all of those are gaps for me. And so, again, early in the year, I feel like I'm pretty happy with my progress so far. But yeah, those are stuff I'm going to have to add to my game collection to try and round that out.
I don't recommend the game as an actual game, but Deer Simulator on Game Pass is an easy completion, and it has a lot of animals which you can kill and ride. So few options there, probably.
That's awesome. Yeah. Other than that, I think the things I've locked in so far, nothing special. I'm actually surprised with the should have played Oregon Trail category, where you complete a game that has an overworld map but does not have fast travel. And I've got 2 of them where you've got a nice overland map, but you can't do anything with them. And it's like, you look at it and you're like, wow, that's really inconvenient.
Yeah, my one for that was Farming Simulator on the 360, which was my February random game, and lots of fields and a map to see all the fields, but no way of getting around them quickly apart from sitting on a lawnmower that goes a couple of miles an hour.
The 2 I have slotted in is the Game Pass game Yes, Your Grace. And really, I mean, there is an overworld map, but you actually, as the king, don't leave your castle, and you just send dudes out to the different towns to have people come to your home. So it has that nice overworld map, but you don't go anywhere.
So that's overworld map and no travel mechanic.
Right. That game is super fun, by the way. I really enjoyed it. So if it's at least a two playthrough game, and you got to probably in your second playthrough be pretty judicious with how you play it. But that first playthrough you can play just enjoying the story, and it was cool. I really liked it.
Nice.
And the other one is I finally finished Oxenfree. Oh my goodness.
Oh, finally, years later. For anyone who is a regular listener to the podcast, well, for anyone who isn't a regular listener to the podcast, Oxenfree was a game club game, which is where we all play the same game in a month, and it was done back in...
It was like the Z to Z days,
well,
it?
No, it was Kronos ran it here, so it was early days of the podcast, I think, so it would have been a good 3 or 4 years ago, I guess. 3 years, maybe, when you did it with Petart and Carpe Adam and Kronos. Yeah, you never completed it.
No, and the reason is obviously that game is known for doing multiple playthroughs, and on my third playthrough, I had 2 achievements left, and one is to get the 2 characters to date, and the other one is to make all the characters hate you. And so I was like, oh, well, I'll just try to do that in one playthrough, and turns out I got neither. And so I was so frustrated that it's like, well, now it's definitely 2 more playthroughs.
So you were trying to get them sweet enough to date, but then it wasn't sweet enough for them to actually date, but it was just sweet enough for them not to hate you.
Bingo. Oh, that's exactly right. So I had to play 2 more playthroughs, and I just rushed through it last month at the end of February, and but yes, that has an overworld map, and you cannot go anywhere on that one. There also is a point of no return in that game. So, and they very distinctly tell you when you're going to go into that bunker, hey, should we go do this stuff first? And it's very, very well signposted. So,
definitely,
that's currently a two spot for me. We'll see which one it locks in on.
Awesome.
Now, of course, that's not the only thing that we have. We do have the second challenge, which is zombie tropes. And people who have heard me talk enough know that I am a big fan of zombies. And so this one was 20 tropes that you find in, traditional games. And we had joked about trying to do this without using zombie games. Of course, I can't not play zombie games. So, for instance, Dead Island, you'd be surprised. Well, you're probably not surprised. Currently ticks 12 of the 20 categories.
Wow. Amazing.
But of course, you can only use 1 game per thing. So
you got to choose.
I haven't locked any of these in, but I've currently played games that do have all 20 of them. So of the 15 games I've completed.
Nice.
Looks like 8 of them have some type of enemies that fit the bill.
See, I'm struggling a little bit with this one so far, and that's simply because, strangely enough, most of the games I've completed don't have enemies in, as it were.
Sure.
I've got things like 12 minutes, I've got skateboarding games, I've got some kind of adventure games, not a huge amount with actual things to kill and things that can kill you. But I have got 8 slots filled, but a lot of those are with the same game, so I'm going to have to get a lot more to actually fill it out. One of the ones I liked that I filled in just now before we recorded was completing a game that contains an enemy that tries to eat the player. And the one that jumped straight into my head was The Medium, which features the Maw, which, as its name suggests, is something that is literally trying to consume you.
That's awesome. And
goes around saying, "I'm going to eat you." That was perfect.
This one, and now because of this is not in the BCM, I am letting the two. So I've completed Johnny Rocket and Null Drifter as just some just trash gamerscore games, and they each apply to 5 different categories here. So they've been able to fill in a couple of the gaps as well.
I think that's going to have to be my approach to this. Is at some point just knock out a few easy things involving lots of different types of enemies, and then that should cover off a bunch of it.
So challenge number 3 is probably giving me the most difficulty right now, and that is called Multi-Genre Madness or Mayhem, one of the two. And it is completing games that have at least 2 genre tags, could have more. Turns out a lot of the games I play are only one genre.
Yeah, this is exactly what I found. Yeah. I've got so many adventure and puzzle and action. And I'm like, no, it's got to have something else, surely.
Totally.
Well, so what I found is you either find that you've got a single genre, or you have a combo, but it's the same combo that appears a lot of times. So platformer and Metroidvania is a pairing that appears, and I've got like 3 or 4 games of that. So I've covered off platformer and Metroidvania, absolutely, which is quite good. But it does mean that there aren't that many other options.
Totally.
Yeah.
How Luna Nights is one of those.
Same goes for
adventure point and click.
Adventure and point and click is exactly where I was going with that same concept. You've usually got that as a pairing. Weirdly enough, one that I found has loads of genres that kind of covers it off that I just did is Little Mouse's Encyclopedia, because that one is a visual novel, education and trivia, and an adventure. Right,
fun.
So it's all of those 3.
Dead Island, which I just did, is an action horror dungeon crawler open world role playing game.
Oh wow!
So that's a 4 spot.
Yeah, but
it covers quite a bit.
So the kind of the goal here is that you obviously complete games, but the only ones you can use are games that have multiple genres. And the goal is to cover off as many genres as possible, but you can only use a game once. So the best thing to do is to find a game that has multiple genres, but one of those genres is a little bit more, I guess, unusual or obscure, because that would allow you to then cover that genre off.
Right.
So yeah, there's a few out there. Like, it helps if it's a game that is mostly one thing, but then has a little bit of something else tagged on that counts enough for a genre.
Another one of those. My February random game was MX versus ATV Alive, and that is a simulation racing sports automobile, right? And those tend to go together too. But I hate sim racing games, so I could see myself playing another sports game or playing another automobile game, but the likelihood of doing another simulation racing is insanely slim.
Nice. Yeah, I also, with open world, I was a bit concerned because a lot of open world games tend to be quite big and lengthy, and I wasn't sure if I had many options, but then I completed Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, which is obviously sports and skateboarding, but it is also classed as open world, so I was like, oh, okay, well, that's probably the one. Although realistically, that will probably be my skateboarding completion, so I need to make a choice there.
The game I mentioned earlier, Yes, Your Grace, is a simulation management game. And typically I don't like those games either. And so this was because there's a really nice story to it, and the management aspect is pretty minimal. I'm concerned that's leaving Game Pass in the near future, so
Yeah, for me, I did Farming Simulator, but that is purely simulation, and I'm not sure what other simulation games I have in the options. But also, like say management. What do I have for management? I'm not sure. So there's a few genres that I think may leave me with some trouble.
So the final challenge is challenge number 4, and this has been a couple of years going now, is the crossover with the random to-do list, where an item on your random to-do list, if you complete that game, you then lock that slot, and the goal is to get at least 20 of your 25 slots filled with completed games. You did great last year.
Completed it, mate.
And I
did the whole thing.
Yep. And I was not so lucky. So how's this year treating you?
I'm just counting now. I have managed to slot in 8 so far within the first 3 months. So pretty
That's
good,
great.
pretty good.
That's
I
great.
was very, very lucky in January that for my RTDL, a lot of old 360 games came up. And for the BCM, the challenge was older games, right? Games that, depending on how old they were, based on when they were released, you'd get more bonus points. So the whole thing just lined up so perfectly. And I had a bunch of old 360 games that I had done most of, or nearly completed, and some of those turned up as well. So I had Cars 2, Sensible World of Soccer, Bourne Conspiracy, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, and Duke Nukem Manhattan Project, all on my RTDL,
Nice.
all giving me bonus points for BCM, and all with different slots for this challenge. And I was like, yes.
That is perfect.
February was less kind. I only managed to get 1 off there. And March so far, I've only knocked out the 2 easiest ones. So there's nothing really to brag about. I just did the gimmies.
So what slots do you have checked off?
So first 2, 8, 11, 12, 13, 17, and 20. So 20 is a decent one to have locked off, but I am concerned that 21 to 25 is going to be the tricky range.
Which is why I tend to focus on those early in the year, because they those can always be scary. So I've only got 6 done so far, but my 6 are 11, 14, 15, 21, 23, 24.
Ooh, nice.
So I got those big dogs up there.
I'm making this more difficult for myself this year because in previous years I had everything that I could curate my collection, and I used to have a lot of easy stuff that I hadn't started yet.
Right.
And particularly towards the end of the year, I may have done a bit of sneaky, deliberate, easy list curation to wrap up, to try and get a full combo, and also to wrap up this challenge. This year, I'm doing a little on-the-side scavenger hunt thing with a few guys from the community, where we commit to having a 5,000 achievement pool. And I'm giving myself the additional challenge of primarily just using games that I've already started, so as a way of backlog bashing, which means a lot of those easy games, a lot of the easiest games that I have in my collection, hundreds of them, are unstarted, so they are not in the pool,
not eligible.
So it's tougher. We'll see how long that lasts. I may cave.
It does feel good though, because my list is primarily cleaning up the backlog as well. So only games I started, except for Game Pass, where I'm trying to make sure I stay on top of my Game Pass completion, so I'm not scrambling in the last 2 weeks every time they're getting out of here. And it feels like this month, the Sniper Elite V2 is on my RTDL, and it's the 3 possible achievements are the 3 highest remaining achievement ratios possible. So it's like,
finish it.
I might as well I might as well finish it then, right? So, and that'll take out slot 19 for me. And I did the same thing with Unravel, was my 23rd. Among Us was 24. Those high ratios, it's like, well, they're not going to get any better. So might as well just finish it as it goes. And that was the impetus for finishing Oxenfree. It was on my RTDL as well.
I find this challenge is one of my favorites because it aligns with the goals so well of trying to kind of knock things out and get things done. And also the common complaint with RTDL is that it makes you play a bit of a game and then hop off it to the next one and the next one and the next one. But with this challenge, I use it to say, no, actually, I'm going to stick it through, going to finish it, may as well get it done. So I get those completions.
Which has severely hurt my RTDL numbers because I typically now I'm only getting like 4, 6, maybe 7 unlocks because I tend to try to go through the whole game.
But I think, like a lot of these challenges, RTDL mostly exists to say, hey, why don't you go and play this? So if you treat it that way, then you're doing fantastically because you're picking and playing through what you want to do. So
Right. So, yeah, hey, I suppose we should, if people in the community have done some work or want to chat about it, we got that podcast discussion channel. This is a great spot to re-bring up the FCC. I know, although we did say we'd meet, I think we also said we'd try and maybe create a spreadsheet so we can track
eventually,
the community.
yeah, definitely. That will probably come at some point in the year. It's a bit of work, but I think it's worth doing. So look out for that at a later point. If you are interested to know about what we're talking about here a bit more and see what these categories are that we're talking about and go and fill in your own spreadsheets, you'll find the details in the document about it on the contest info channel in the Discord. So you should be able to hop in there and you'll see all the details about everything that we've just been talking about. I am looking forward to 3 months' time when we have another catch up and we've knocked through more of these lists.
Well, and maybe at that 3-month time, we will be able to put a bow on what I'm going to announce next. Because I'm not here just for my health, Chewie. I do have something to promote. So let me give you a little background on what I'm planning to do here. I did post a question in the Achievement Hunting League thread, and I kept it pretty vague because I wanted to really tailor this to what the community is most interested in, because we have quite a collection of gamers in this community, and some like to score tons of points, some are completionists, some they love the trash, whatever. There is really something for everybody out there. And so I posed 5 questions that kind of were options that I was thinking about, and I wanted to know what the group likes to do. And so let me start by giving you the introduction to what I'm planning to launch. I'm calling it Freamhaven. So welcome to the town of Freamhaven. The land has fallen on some dark times, and this town has been plagued by evil and hardship. The village is in shambles after the horrors of Xitalaika came through, and the Age 101 community has been stranded in the imposing fog, and few dare to travel outside the walls for fears of being consumed by the darkness. So after that first paragraph, let me just pause and remind everybody, if you were not part of the community last year, there was a raid boss battle that came tearing through the land of, how is it pronounced? Ahunawan? Ahunawan? Yeah. And this raid boss was comprised of the community's completions in Ratalaika and Xitalan games. And in order to take this thing down, it was completions, wasn't it? We had to, on the other side, that were of course, we had some people who were trying to heal it, but ultimately, the community came through, killed this thing. It was amazing.
That was a fantastic event.
That was credit to EOJ for that. That was awesome. So this is in the same realm that has occurred, and so I will continue with the introduction here. The buildings haven't been rebuilt since the terror of Xitalaika tore through this realm. The beast's corpse has provided food for myriad different abominations through the kingdom, and they grow stronger as each day passes. The community wishes to return to their homes and families, but cannot make the trip without ample provisions. But the closed trade routes and pillaged farmlands have choked Freamhaven from its supply. This town is dying, and the inhabitants will soon follow if things aren't done to change its course. Thankfully, many brave warriors from the Age 101 community wish to return Freamhaven to its once former glory, bring life back to this hamlet, and renew the farmlands and rebuild the town. Or at the very least, get enough rebuilt to prepare for the trek home. Scouts are consistently bringing back word from the surrounding areas of the potential threats, resources, and people that are stranded and need saving, and bringing that information back to the town center for you, the community, to go and embark on. So if anyone is familiar with the game Gloomhaven, where I've taken the inspiration for this.
Is this a tabletop game?
This is a tabletop game. So I have literally stolen that map and I've using
take
that.
Some credit for yourself here,
I have changed all the names on there, and so they are gaming related, and I'm not, they do have little circles on there, and I'm covering those up with my own circles. But using that map, we are going to go out into this world and try and do different scenarios that will help bring life back to this community. So I have generated 99 different locations to travel to.
Wow.
There are, and so each of those will have I'm considering it like a D&D style event campaign. I ran my first D&D campaign this last summer, and I loved it. It was so much fun. And so, again, that fed into the inspiration for this as well. And so apart from the encounters that we have, there are 90 unique, which the community wanted, magical items that can help you.
Wow.
There is also a list of 100 different monster encounters that you might find out in the world. And that's not all there is to it, right? Because D&D is not all about fighting monsters. There's a story and there's puzzles that need to be solved. And so as the community, you will party up with some friends, and your party will help, start in the town. And as you complete these individual quests, the town will begin to open up. You'll be able to travel to new, exotic, fun locations and spread through the map here with the intention of getting to all of these locations and finally getting out of Freamhaven alive.
Amazing. So what we're talking here basically is an epic role-playing game involving the meta of us, earning achievements.
That is correct.
In the kind of style that we had with Xitalaika, and the same world and the same realm, but community-based, but also so a broader community goal for everyone to try and aim for, but then splitting up into subgroups and teams to work on particular objectives and goals with their own encounters and their own storylines within that.
You got it.
Amazing.
That is exactly correct.
Oh my goodness.
It is
dreamy.
So
dreamy, creamy, freemy.
That's correct. So what the community wants, and if you're familiar with games that I like to go with or contests I like to do, I like to keep things very approachable for people. So if you are familiar with the game Letter Quest, Grimm's Journey, have you played that?
I'm familiar with it, but I've never played it. I've heard people talk about it a lot and how great it is.
Yeah. So in that game, you spell words, and by spelling the words, you do damage to the creatures. But the inspiration that ties to this is if you click on the creature, sometimes they'll say something like double letters will do damage to this creature, or 5-letter words or something along those lines. And so use that in the background of your head as part of the inspiration for how this thing works. This campaign is not going to be who scores the most gamer score, who can do the most completions, who can do the most of anything. It is more surgical, more tactical, and it's open to really everybody. And so I'm hoping that we get a good turnout for this. The community also doesn't necessarily care for time limits. So, you can go on a quest and it takes as long as it takes to complete. I don't want to push people, and some people burn through quests faster than others, and others, get to do their leisure. But what we will do when this thing starts, and there'll be more information in the, I'm sure there'll be some sort of channel here, but there will be a sub-channel thread where we will go through, because it seems as though people want to see what everybody's talking about. And this one is still close enough where we could figure maybe do some things in private where I have maybe some DMs with the party, and then depending on the outcome of that, we post what had happened as they come back to town and explain, hey, this was the adventure I went on. But ultimately, this is after seeing what Skeptical Mario did with the spacecraft. I'm on the Kirby space program.
Don't remind me. Okay, I am still floating in space, awaiting recovery.
I thought you got picked up.
I think they're on the way. I think is the latest. Maybe. I think they stopped off. I think they stopped off for tacos.
So I had tried to do something immensely complicated back in the Achievement Hound area, and so I think I learned my lesson there. But this one, I believe we can get done. I've done tons of writing for the different scenarios. and I'm really excited. I'm super excited to start this. So, looks like we're going to launch April 1st is my goal.
This isn't an elaborate April Fool's joke, is it?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not. And as you might be thinking, right, this is in the realm of the Xitalaika, and many of the people who participated in the raid battle last time got experience. There was EOJ has put together some interesting leveling and background information on here, and so he and I are working together to try and find ways to integrate that with the work that's already been done. So if you're new, I'll remind you that not a lot of people have tons of experience, and if you're old as in a longtime member of the community, then you are continuing the growth of your quote-unquote character.
Amazing. I mean, I'm very much looking forward to this. This sounds really cool. As you'll know from my time running contests, large and small, I do enjoy the meta and trying to make our little hobby as unique and interesting and engaging as possible. And this is the kind of stuff that really floats my boats, jangles my jollies, or whatever you want to say. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. Do you have a sense now, if people are hearing this and thinking, I want to get involved, and you know, we may have already announced this on the Discord by the time you're listening to this, but do you have a sense of how people might join in, participate?
Yeah, we're going to have a sign up, and I think I'm posting that on March 20th. So if you're listening to this before March 20th, or what is 19th, the Friday? Whatever that Friday is. So next Friday. If you hear it before next Friday, I'm putting it up on Friday. If it's after, then you can sign up really at any time, even if it's into April by the time you hear this. You know, you can sign up late if you.
Okay, so we're going to accept new like groups to be formed and members to be joining later on. Oh, that's really cool. That's actually a really nice way of kind of rewarding people, because I know that some people with things like BCM and things, when there's a closed sign off, is they hear about it too late and then they get sad.
Yes. And so, yeah, retroactively, you know, things that you do as for when this thing starts will contribute to your position in the campaign. So you're not behind the 8 ball at all when you start. Again, this is a community event, and so you know, maybe there might be a couple of really gung-ho heroes out there who end up doing a ton of the different campaign missions, but even if you can get 2 or 3 of them done, you're contributing, right? There's 99 of them to do, so there's lots to happen. I will present a problem, and you know, as in D&D, you are free to be creative in a way to solve that.
Amazing.
So let me give you an example. Let's say, for instance, you know, you come across a supply cache that's, you know, tied down in a net. All right. So you got a problem in front of you. You need to get these supplies, and it's tied down with some type of a rope. All right. So one possible solution is someone in your party can unlock an achievement with the word that has some type of cutting edge in it. For example, slasher from the game Among Us, or maybe a game that has something sharp in the name, such as an achievement from the game Agatha Knife. And so by using that item, you can cut the rope to have access to the supplies.
Amazing.
So just keep that in mind of, you know, one of many things that are possible here. And so I have created a lot of scenarios. So it's not all about finding knives and swords in your achievements. There's a lot to do. And that's also, let me remind you that games that don't necessarily have those things associated with them, that you would maybe consider a tool or something along those lines, those aren't wasted either. There will be other things that need to happen. Sometimes gamer scores involved. Sometimes ratios involved. Sometimes, you know, letters are involved. Sometimes it's all sorts of possibilities. So no matter what type of gamer you are or what type of gaming you like to do, you will have the ability to be successful in this campaign. The one thing I will say is I don't know how long this is going to take. So that's
I don't
why
care.
when we
I want it to last forever and ever and ever. So
when we talk about talking in 3 months, I'm guessing we'll be done in 3 months. at least this certainly is going to go longer than 1 month, despite how fast Mental Knight thinks he can complete all these. You also have to work with me as the DM, and so I keep some semi-regular hours. So, we will have an ongoing. But the nice thing about that as we go through Discord is this can just continue to evolve over time. So even if you're in a different time zone, because you'll be presented with a problem and maybe you don't have the solution in your quote-unquote inventory already, and you have to go out and earn an achievement in a game that will help you overcome your problem, right? So sometimes quests can go really quick if you happen to be sitting on these. Sometimes they'll take longer if you've got to go hunting for something.
That sounds all tickety-boo. I love it. So just to recap, we're talking about a brand new event launching on 1st of April.
1st of April.
Look out for the sign-up and more information on the Discord, probably around the AHL and contest info channels. We'll probably do some announcements there. And
Yes.
This is a community role-playing epic where our achievements can be used to fulfill objectives set for various different quests in the realm of the Xitalaika raid boss battle.
Ahunawun. The land of Ahunawun.
This is absolutely fantastic. Cannot wait.
Yeah, it'll be fun to do. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to run with this and announce it here with you. I love this community, and I love all the fun, unique things that we can do. And who knows, maybe this thing can grow into something insane down the road.
And hopefully me and my British compadres, who will probably make up my team, the same team that I had for Trekcraft, will be a little bit more successful in our questing than our space trekking.
As it stands right now, I know I've been asked and I haven't fleshed out the details, so I don't think I'm going to do it, but as it stands today, again, these might change by the time, I got 3 weeks here before I have to really finalize everything. I don't have a way for anyone to die. So I think, you won't be straight out in space, Chewie.
If there's a way for things to go horribly wrong, I'm sure that I will discover it.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. And like Chewie said, keep an eye on the Discord. If you're not there right now, boy, you should. It's a fun place to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much, Freem, for joining me and recapping our FCC and introducing this amazing new upcoming event. And I will catch up with you in a few more months.
Absolutely. And have a great time gaming, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Wakapeil, and I've played 2 Xitalaika games in March, one of their best and one of the worst games they've published on Xbox. This week I'll tell you about the bad one. Cosmos Bit is a Nintendo Entertainment System style Metroidvania, which falls way short of its 3 decades older inspirations, chief among them Metroid, but some enemies and graphics are heavily inspired by the NES Mario games. I don't think Nintendo's lawyers would approve. You play as the space warrior Stella Mironova, some kind of mercenary or bounty hunter heavily inspired by Samus of Metroid fame, who receives a mission to save some scientists on an alien planet where they've found signs of alien intelligence. Stella carries a huge gun, which, judging by the initial damage output, rapidly fires foam darts. The life forms on the planet are not aggressive and act as if they are not even there, even if you keep firing at them for many seconds. They do have a tendency to hang out in narrow tunnels and on platforms you have to traverse, but almost all of them are just minding their own business when Stella shows up to murder them. Unfortunately, you can't let them graze you or you'll quickly die as you start off with only 3 hit points. There is no height control while jumping. You can't make low jumps, which is a pain as you can only fire straight ahead and up. And enemies often are just a tad above where you shoot, forcing you to jump up and down dozens of times to kill the enemy, as they take so many foam darts or whatever your gun fires until you've upgraded it. The double jump is equally bad and can't be used if you are aiming up for some reason. Shooting upwards can also be problematic if you're close to a wall, as Stella sometimes manages to get her massive gun stuck in it. There are only 2 somewhat tricky and punishing platforming sections, but both of them are located far away from save points, which also cost resources to use, which you might rather use to upgrade health and bombs capacity, but the resources are not hard to find, so I'd recommend to save every time you find a save room, as you do not want to play Cosmos bit longer than you have to. The screen transition is often terrible, especially if you go up, as you spawn into the room in a determined spot instead of emerging where you actually came from, which can easily disorient you and have you accidentally fall back into the room you came from. I find it's usually a red flag if the achievement list is done way before the game ends. You likely have all of Cosmos Bit's 12 achievements worth 1000 gamerscore and probably around 1200 TA in around an hour, which is around 2/3 into the game. Don't make my mistake and play the rest of the game. The end game ups the difficulty and treats you to some terrible story beats featuring aliens and scientists in diapers, whose Stella promptly leaves to party among themselves as soon as she finishes the mission. The final boss is the most visually impressive in the game, but it is mechanically as crappy as the other bosses. Cosmos Bit's only redeeming qualities are that it is quick and easy gamer score, and that it mostly works as intended. Unfortunately, the game design is rather terrible, and despite how short it is, it feels way longer due to how slow it is, which is mostly due to the bullet-spongy enemies. Thankfully, you won't have to suffer through the worst of the writing if you stop playing when you unlock the final achievement. Unless you really want to play every single Metroidvania, save your $5 for something else. I sadly wouldn't recommend Cosmo Bit even if it was free. Have a nice day, everyone!